What's going on, everybody? We've got Jeff Rose, Good Financial Sense, and thedebtmovement.com. And I've got an awesome interview today. I got Travis Pizel, who has an amazing debt journey in the tune of paying off $84,000 of debt in under 4 years. And just let that number kind of sit for a minute, because that is such a huge, huge number, a great accomplishment. I'm sure, Travis, you're probably just enjoyed to share your story.
Absolutely.
I want to bring Travis in here. He has really been prominent in the blogosphere, just sharing his debt journey and also encouraging and motivating others, giving them hope that they can get out of debt. And today I just wanted to kind of go through the journey of, kind of how did we get into the debt? What was the point where you, like the oh crap moment, like, oh my gosh, like how did this happen? And then, with the process you went into deciding, the debt consolidation with Care One, and just how you went into that. So do you mind just kind of sharing the story, kind of the backstory?
Sure, absolutely, Jeff. So it really started immediately after my wife Bonnie and I got married. We communicated well about everything but finances, really. And so pretty much right off the bat, we were overspending, and it really started out with, we both had good jobs and we had a good income, so we kind of felt that entitlement that we should be able to do anything that we wanted to do whenever we wanted to do it. And as a husband, I really felt that if I wasn't able to provide everything and anything for my family, then that would be a failure on my part. So as we, began our married life and we started to, figure out what we wanted to do for fun, what we wanted to do for entertainment, we would commonly overspend. And when the money ran out, then, there's always credit cards, right? 15 years ago, credit card companies were eager and willing to send you all kinds of, offers in the mail. So, using credit cards to supplement our income. And we always, my wife always knew that we had credit card debt, but as the years marched on and that number got bigger, I really started to hide what that number was from her, because I really didn't want her to worry. I really wanted to shoulder that stress myself. And it was the thought process that I had was, the next income increase, the next salary increase. This is the internet bubble time, right? When people are getting 12% increases all the time. The next salary increase is going to allow us to catch up. And that never happened. So about June of 2009, we got letters in the mail from a major creditor that we had 6 accounts with, and they were increasing the minimum payment policy. I think it was from 2% or 1% to 2.5% of the balance was going to be the minimum monthly payment. And when I sat down and really tried to figure out how much that was going to be and what that was going to do to our monthly payments, it was obvious that we weren't going to be able to make those payments anymore. So that was really our financial cliff at that point, and we needed to figure out what it was that we were going to do about that. And so we went and talked to our bank, and they really weren't a whole lot of help for us. Their advice to us was, well, pay down your second mortgage so that you can refinance your house and fold all that debt in. And I said, man, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. I need help now. I don't need help in 2 years or 3 years. I need help right now. And they just shrugged their shoulders, and I walked out the door. So the next thought was, either consolidation loan or bankruptcy. That's really all I knew that existed at that point. And bankruptcy didn't sound like a good alternative. But if that's what we had to do, then that's what we had to do. But we wanted to search and see if there was any other options. And that's when we started searching the internet for, just debt relief. If you go and put debt relief in your favorite web browser, your search engine, you're going to get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And we found a couple of different debt management companies, debt relief companies, and I started to take a look at them. And Bonnie and I did it together, and we spent a lot of times looking at websites, reading reviews, and the company that we ultimately went with, Care One Debt Relief Services, has an online community where their customers speak out and they tell about their journey and they ask questions, and other customers also respond to those as well as the employees. And that's what really caught our eye about that company. And after spending countless hours reading through those forums and reading external reviews, that's when we decided to make that phone call.
Yeah, so before we talk a little bit about that process, I'm really interested. I mean, you mentioned that you were trying to shoulder the load, of this debt, and kind of keeping the wife at base, so you didn't have to stress out about it. At what point in time did you have to have that tough discussion with her to let her know? And how did that conversation go?
That's a good question. So it was really when we got those letters in the mail about the minimum payment policy change, and I realized that we couldn't make the payments. Right up until that point, I like to think of myself as a pretty creative guy, and sometimes that in this case that didn't really work out to my benefit. But I would spend time at night in front of the computer desk, looking at different ways to balance or transfer balances around, or applying for new credit cards, or doing whatever I could to kind of keep our financial house of cards from collapsing. And up until that point, I was able to do it. But there just wasn't any other way. There wasn't any solution. I didn't have a solution. So we had to sit down with those 5 or 6 letters, and have the discussion of, look, this is what's happening. This is the state that we're in, and I don't know what we're going to do about it. And she was understandably very upset. Marriage is all about trust, and I really didn't give her any reason to trust me at that point. But we had a very, very honest and very frank discussion about how we got to where we were, what I had been doing, what I had been hiding from her. And at that point, I didn't know how we were going to fix that problem. I didn't even know if she's going to give me an opportunity to fix the solution. She might pack her bags and walk out the door for all I know.
Right.
But luckily for me, she stayed with me, and we're still together today with our 2 beautiful children. And from that point, when that discussion was over, then as a team, we sat down and started looking for a solution.
That's great, man. Because I wanted to highlight that because finances. This is make or break a couple, and this could have a very pivotal point in your marriage. And the fact that you guys were able to talk it out and devise a plan of attack. That's that is what marriage is all about. Coming together. So awesome that you guys were able to work through that. And just and how now you're here 4 years later. $84,000 of debt paid off. That's awesome, man. That's a team.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. It's been quite a journey, and getting into the debt relief program is really only half of it. A lot of people think that, I signed up for a debt relief program and I just make my payment every month and then I'm good. And paying off our mountain of debt is certainly a great thing, but if we didn't address the real base issue of how we got there to begin with, then we would just end up in the same situation again. So we've been working really hard over the last 4 years to increase that communication level, have regular budget discussions. We've gone through countless different ways of trying to handle our finances and budgeting techniques, and to tell you the truth, probably within the last 8 months, we've really found the one that works for us. And it's a continuing process. That everybody knows that handles their finances correctly. That it's a constantly evolving sort of thing. As your life changes, the way you handle your finances has to change. So we talk about it regularly. A couple of times a week, have major budget discussions. Every morning we go over our checking account together, and that keeps us on the same page. And that's something that we've never had before. And if I would have known how good that feels and how much less stress it is to share that with her and to work as a team than to try to shoulder that by myself, man, I could have saved myself a lot of hurt.
All right. So, but like I said, that's the open line of communications, and I think that's huge. Most couples, they don't do that enough. Even me and my wife, like, we try to talk, but we've got 3 young kids, and we're just being stretched every direction. So trying to find that time to talk about these issues, sometimes it's hard. Like, we try to talk over a dinner, but you got 3 kids screaming, wanting hot dogs, whatever else. So the fact, but you do have to make an effort, and that's the point, and you guys are doing that. So now you've addressed the fact, you started doing your research, you went to Care One, looked at their community, so you began the debt consolidation process. So kind of walk us through, for someone that's never been through that process, what does that look like? How does that feel?
Sure. So I want to tell you about the first phone call that we had with a rep from the company. And a lot of times when you're dealing with finances and financial products, it's kind of like talking to a used car salesman, right? It's that high pressure sales thing to try to get you to buy something to get you into the program, and we really didn't feel that at all. The gentleman that we talked to, we were on the phone with him. I think we called it like 8 o'clock at night, and we were on the phone with him for like 90 minutes. I don't even know if he was supposed to be on the phone with us anymore. But he wanted to make sure that we completely understood what we would be getting ourselves into, how the process worked, what we would be going through, what to expect, what not to expect, what our responsibilities would be. And then at the end of the phone call, right, we went through our income, we went through our bills, and he came up with the proposed amount. How much would our monthly bill be? Ballpark figure, and it's a pretty big number. And I said, "Wow." And he kind of was skeptical about what I meant by that. And he said, "Is that can you do that? Is that swingable?" And I said, "If you tell me that I can pay that much each month for the next 5 years, and this debt will be gone, you make me the happiest person on the planet." And he said, "Oh, geez, you scared me there for a second. I thought you were going to tell me to, take a hike." But at that point, he said, "I don't want you to sign up today. I want you to think about it, and I'm going to call you back in 2 or 3 days." And we set up a day and a time for him to call us back. And in the meantime, we did more searching. Bonnie and I sat down in front of the computer and read more community forums, read more reviews, did more searching, made sure that this was the company that we wanted to go with. And I remember he was supposed to call us back at, I think it was 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And that time came and went, and that phone never rang. And we said, well, maybe that's a sign. Maybe this isn't the right company for us. And just then the phone rang, and it was his personal cell phone. The phone lines had gone down at the company, but he had promised he was going to call us, so he called us on his personal cell phone, and we talked for another 90 minutes. More questions, going over what was going to happen, and at the end of that phone call, we signed up, and it was a great relief at that point. We knew we had a lot of work yet to do, but we knew we were on the right path.
Yeah. So the question that I always have in this situation, so you've consolidated all your debt. How does that affect be able to purchase other things? Like do you still have a credit card? If you want to buy a car, could you? How does that affect just like your other day-to-day financial operations?
Sure, those are great questions, Jeff. So the statement when you join a debt management company is that you don't want to get any other unsecured lines of credit. I've read that people have, especially towards the end of their program. We have some accounts that like store credit cards that are not on the program, and we don't want to use them. We've slipped up a couple of times, and then we just cut. We've cut these things up, and so that we don't have that temptation, close those accounts as well. But there's always the risk that if you open another unsecured line of credit, because I've got letters, I saved all of them from all 13 creditors that I've got on the program. Some of them explicitly say that they're going to check your credit report, and if they see any new lines of credit that open up, that you might get booted off the program. So you really don't want to take that risk, especially when we're getting so close to the end of the tunnel, right?
Right.
As far as buying a car, anything that's secured. Car, getting student loans for college, and buying a house. All of those things you're able to do because they're secured lines of credit, secured loans. It may be more difficult because when they pull your credit file, it may say you've got accounts that are being handled by credit counseling. But you can get a letter from your debt management company that says, that you've been on the program since this date, and this is their payment, and they've been making consistent payments for this many months, and that'll be a good thing to take to your lender with you.
Right. So when is the official debt payoff date? I'm sure you got it on your calendar, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is March 28th of 2014.
Wow. Yeah, that's coming real close. So
yeah, we made our payment just a couple of days ago, last week, and I remember sending out a tweet about it last week. I realized that we only had 12 payments left. That it was 1 year. It wasn't 5 years. It wasn't we weren't halfway there. We have 1 year left, and I honestly kind of teared up a little bit because it's it's going to be a very awesome day.
You kind of already mentioned this previously, but like when through this journey, what have been some of the big changes, like just in yourself and with your family, that you've noticed?
Yeah, and that's it's been a process. I tell you, we knew that when we joined the debt management company and enrolled in the program that we were going to have to make major life changes. We've been living above our means for had at that time for the first 13 years of our marriage, and we knew that we were going to have to cut things. What we didn't know is we didn't know just how far and how deep we were going to have to cut. We really weren't honest with ourselves even for the first probably year and a half. Right? We did all the things that you normally do. You stop going out to eat. You stop leaving town. You stop going out to eat all the time. You stop. You cut your cable bill. You look for you evaluate every one of your monthly expenses, trying to figure out where you can cut. But the fact that we still had a 500-gallon hot tub in our backyard, really told you that we didn't quite get it yet. But so it wasn't so much of a switch, right, from off to on as it was kind of a slide, right? From yep, we're going to cut. Well, yeah, we got to cut a little bit more. You know what? This is nuts. We really got to cut a lot. So drained the hot tub, sold that. Really made more significant cuts. Talk to the kids. We want you guys to be in activities, but we're not going to be able to do as many as we did before. Really, the thing that I like to say, I read in a blog post once, not that long ago. You want to be selfish with your money. You want to really spend the money on the things that you value and the things that make sense. And having a 500-gallon tub in the backyard that you sit in once a month isn't being very selfish with your money. But spending some money to go and get a movie and ice cream and sit with your kids and talk with them what they did for the day, that provides real value for your life.
Yeah, that's cool. So how old are your kids now?
10 and 14.
10 and 14. So they're definitely at an age where they can feel it more than like a 5 or 6-year-old. They're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, and they're actually very aware of what we're going through. They know what Care One is, and they know that I'm a customer blogger for them. They know that I blog for a couple other websites. I actually had my daughter write a blog post for Enemy of Debt a couple of months ago, and that very interesting to see her perspective about our situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I gotta check that post out. I guess I missed that. That's cool, man. So anything else? I mean, I think we covered everything that I had intended to cover. This is exactly all I wanted to hear. But just any last bits of encouragement for those that are in debt and just want to get out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I want to tell people, and the message that I'm trying to get out there, and the reason why I'm even blogging, is to really try to get the word out there that there's always hope, right? I remember what that felt like when I saw those 5 or 6 letters and that I didn't have any hope and that, I didn't know what I was going to do. And people have options. People that are in debt have options. And I didn't know what debt management was. I didn't know there were, other options out there for me besides just a debt consolidation loan and bankruptcy. There's other options out there. They're not for everybody. I mean, you have to assess your own personal situation and figure out what the right solution is for you. But there are solutions out there. And people just have to go and find them.
Great, man. So anybody that wants to connect with you and just more in your writing, where should they go?
Sure. So on Twitter, I'm Debt Chronicles, so you can connect with me there. Otherwise, I am also a customer blogger for Care One Debt Relief Services, so that's www.careonecredit.com. And I'm also the main blogger at Enemy of Debt, so enemyofdebt.com.
Perfect. And I'll have links to those so everybody can check that out. And I'm actually going to include that link to your daughter's post. That sounds really cool. That's awesome, man. Well, Travis, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I know the blogging community appreciates you and just your willingness to open up and share. I know talking about debt, especially, just is hard for a lot of people. But, you've embraced it and you've used it as a way to educate and inform others. And, I know a lot of people owe that a lot to you for that. So we appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you.
No problem, man. We'll talk soon.
Sure. Bye, Jeff.
Bye.